guys, welcome to another episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers Podcast. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for Tampa Bay's real producers, with Tampa Bay's real producers, and by none other than Tampa Bay's real producers. So we get to hang out today with none other than Chris Price.
Hello.
Chris, it's great to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you, Don. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah,
Appreciate
this will be
it.
fun. I guess we met initially when we did your cover feature,
Yes.
which is crazy. It was over a year ago already.
Oh, yes, it was.
Yeah,
October feature. It was
time
beautiful.
flies, doesn't it?
Yeah,
So
that was a lot of fun.
Chris was featured last year as one of our cover agents on the magazine, of course, for Tampa Bay Real Producers, and we're going to dive in a little bit more to her story in just a second. But we had you come to one of our events, I believe, right after that. I think it was the Ugly Sweater Party.
Oh, yeah, so
wasn't
much
it?
fun. Yes.
I think that's where you got your frame and all that fun
Yes,
stuff.
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was an interesting event, a little bit of a theme-based thing that we did in the Christmas season.
Yeah.
So that's where we first met, and I know you've come to a couple of other events since with some of the happy hours and
Absolutely.
stuff.
It's so nice of you guys to do it.
It's a pleasure. It really is fun. I mean, that's an easy part of the job, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So let's start with a little bit of your background. That's the most common thing that we start with in terms of, did you grow up in this area? Eventually, how did you get yourself into real estate? Why don't we start there?
So I grew up in New Jersey. In very rural section of New Jersey, basically had a father and mother that would buy houses and flip them on the side.
Okay.
So I grew up with parents that would, we didn't know about flippers back then. They just renovated and sold, and they'd do it again and again, and they'd buy land on, like, let's say, a little lake and build a house, and then we'd live in it for a year during the summers. That was all out in, like, Southampton, Long Island.
Sure.
So we lived in New Jersey, but we'd spend our summers out there while my father would come on the weekends with all his brothers and everybody and do these remodels of these properties.
So that wasn't their main business, but it was a side thing?
No, it was a side thing for my parents. And I remember as a little 3-year-old being there, on the dirt with a piece of wood and a hammer and nail, having fun hammering in nails. And
they got you to work early.
I loved it.
Yeah, that's
painting
any
and
3-year-old
sweeping.
loves a hammer. I can see that.
Yeah. I never banged my fingers, luckily. But, that's what I grew up with, was a father and mother that loved home modeling and remodeling.
Okay.
And then from there, I traveled a lot. After college, went and lived in Europe, and that was a blast. And then from there, I lived in New York City for 7 years and did all kinds of things. I was a graphic design artist in the city.
Okay.
And then I worked for different companies, Lehman Brothers, Booz Allen and Hamilton as their graphic art designer.
So your background was in that graphic space, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
I have an art minor, and communications was my major. But so I ended up going down that path of graphic design. And then basically from New York City, moved down to Fort Lauderdale. I had started my own business up there. I sort of jumped a big part. I decided to start my own company designing fabrics.
Okay.
So my mother at the time lived in Bali, Indonesia.
Wow.
So I went over to visit her, and on the way back, I was there for 6 weeks, I decided, you know what? I love the fabrics. I love color. So I decided to start designing my own fabrics and manufacturing duvet covers, pillow shams, decorative bedding, shower curtains, table linens, and had it all manufactured in Indonesia. And I was really doing batik fabrics, which is a really neat lost wax design with fabric and how do you say it? With just how to get different patterns on the fabric. So
you think that your business was driven at all through, like, seeing some of these interior design jobs and flips that your parents did growing up, and how, like, houses were remodeled? Did that play a role at all?
I don't know. I just think it came from my art design sort of sense, being always into art in high school and then college. And then going to Indonesia, it sort of opened my eyes and all the different crafts that are over there with the woodworking and the jewelry makers and the fabrics and the stunning colors.
Yeah.
And so I was actually the only home decorative manufacturer in the United States that was making bedding and home goods with real batik fabrics. So it became quite a successful business. At one point, I had about 54 sales reps around the nation representing my company.
Nice.
And I had oh my gosh, so many trade shows all over the country that I had to go to. So it was constant traveling, and I loved it because I was single at the time. But then when I got married later, I was like 32 when I ended up meeting my husband. And I started a little later than most people, and decided after
I got married at 32. Was not wrong with that.
Yeah, right? Like, I'm an older mom, I had my kids a little later in life, and I'm so thrilled I did because I loved my 20s and had a lot of fun. And then...
was your husband in the business?
No. He was a paper salesman and worked for Unisource for years and years.
Okay. So you met in New York?
No, we met in Florida. After I left New York City, I came down to Fort Lauderdale and met him pretty quickly. And we just started dating instantly, and that was it.
The flame hasn't gone out yet? So
no, 24 years. We'll be 25 in February.
Congrats.
So yeah, thank you.
Exciting. We're at 12 now, so we got some ways to go to catch up to you.
Yeah, well, you're a lot younger.
So did you come to Fort Lauderdale because of the business, or was there another reason?
Yeah, so I just always loved summer and was so sick to death of the New York City winters.
I can relate to that. I'm from Connecticut. I think I told you that before.
Oh yeah, you just at 32, I'm like, why am I living in New York City dealing with this rain and slush and horrible weather for 5-6 months out of the year? So I said, forget it. I didn't have anything holding me. I picked up my company and I just moved everything down to Fort Lauderdale. I did all my cut and sew in my own facility. So I had a phenomenal facility down in Dania, and had my machines and cutting tables, and all the folks hired new people and did everything out of Fort Lauderdale. And it was a complete shift and change in my company at that time. So I went from importing everything from Indonesia to now doing a lot of cutting and sewing in the U.S. as well. And I also designed fabrics that were done in India, and product then was cut and sewn in India. So it was an interesting business. I did it for 13 years, and it was really successful.
Very cool. You sold it?
No, I actually decided after our second child was born, I decided just sort of to sell everything.
Okay.
I closed. I just was like, you know what? I had a brand new baby. I had a 3.5-year-old. She had been on 13 plane rides before she was 12 months old with me traveling. And I'm like, I'm not doing that with my second kid.
Yep.
So I decided to close shop. And then from there, I was so bored. I mean, I hate to say this. I loved being a mom. I love and thrive on being a mom.
Yeah.
But I was like,
it's an adjustment.
It was an adjustment.
When you come from running your own business to now being a stay-at-home mom and raising kids.
Yeah, it was rough. So 6 months, when my son was 6 months old, I decided to sign up to go to the Fort Lauderdale Art Institute and get my degree in residential interior design.
Okay.
So I did that full-time for a year, juggling 2 little kids. And then after that, I decided that I couldn't work for anybody else.
I can imagine after running your own business for 13 years.
Yeah, it was pretty tough. I tried with a couple folks, and I just was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So we ended up, years went by, but we ended up knocking down our house, rebuilding it, and I designed the whole thing. And we didn't have a contractor. We subbed it out ourselves. So that was a really wonderful project and experience, and other side houses that we worked on. And then once my son was 14, I said, I got to do something more with my life. So I decided to become a realtor. And that was 5 years ago.
So that's interesting. So you just got licensed 5 years ago. You had a pretty impressive background with the business that you ran, obviously starting in New York all the way down to Fort Lauderdale. Then you opened up, I guess it wasn't your own business, but the interior design thing, working for other people, and you got sick of that pretty quickly.
Yeah, that did not last.
So what was it about being an agent that was appealing to you? Was it just the freedom and of being your own, kind of running your own business again?
Yeah, so, I come from an entrepreneurial family, and I'm a really hard worker. I wasn't afraid of being my own boss because I'd already been down that path. I think the fact that I didn't have to go into an office all the time, I didn't have to answer to anybody but myself, and I was responsible for my success, not a boss telling me what I had to do. Real estate works in so many ways for me with the past experiences I have with sales and with people and traveling so much and being very comfortable once you know your product and know your subject, it's
sure.
very comfortable talking to people about your industry, and for example, or whatever it is that you're selling. So I think the freedom of being able to work when I want to, making my own hours, I love working with people. I think that just real estate works so well in my lifestyle.
So because your parents also growing up were interested in real estate and, were flipping, you were mentioning earlier, did you always kind of feel like you might get into real estate at some point, or were you kind of surprised?
Definitely did.
Yeah.
I know I definitely did. I had a little bit of a fear factor with it. I've heard so much about, the test is so hard. And, I'm like, well, tough, even if I take it 10 times. But I passed the first time. So, flying colors. So
a lot of people are fearful just because it's like, commission-based and they don't have that security. But you already ran your own business, so you knew what that was like.
Yes.
Of having to eat what you kill and build your own revenue.
Yeah, and I was in a different situation that I had a husband that supported me as well. So I didn't have that pressure that, if somebody's a young agent taking care of themselves, that is probably the hardest part, I would say, is the first year.
Yeah.
With not knowing how much money or having no money coming in.
Right.
I was very fortunate that I started at the age that I did.
Yeah.
I do wish that I had started in my 20s or earlier. I have a niece in New Jersey who's an agent, and she's very successful. So I think the younger you start, just look at how you can soar.
Sure.
I'm sort of at the point where I'm very, very happy with where I'm at, and I'm growing still, of course, but, I don't want a team, for example. I'm not interested in going that route, where my niece is building a team and wants to be her own broker.
Yeah.
And
it's one of the cool things about real estate is you can go in so many different directions and find your own niche that's going to be good for you.
That's right.
And we've had people on this podcast that are doing that route. We just had Joe LaCicero here as an example, who's a big team builder in Pasco. And then we've also had people who, like yourself, who just want to focus on growing your business. And I think when people watch the podcast, there's going to be all different types of people that can relate to your story and whether or not they want to build a team or not, and then hopefully learn something from the rest of this conversation that can help them grow their business. When you got licensed, was that in Fort Lauderdale first?
No. It was in St. Pete.
It was. So what made you move to St. Pete?
Well, so we lived in Fort Lauderdale for 15 years.
Okay.
And, that's where we did a couple, our big build of our house, knocked it down and rebuilt it. And then we had a house prior to that we had remodeled and sold. Fort Lauderdale, I love, but it got very, very hectic. Way too much traffic. Crime was up. And we just sort of got tired of the rat race. And had explored so many different cities in Florida. And St. Pete is really where we fell in love with St. Pete and settled. And we're huge water people. We lived on the water there. We live on the water here. We just wanted to get back to a little bit of a quieter, less stressful life, which maybe some people who live here think, what? But I think it's really a cool city.
Oh, yeah. And it's emerging still. Like there's tons of new stuff popping up left and right. Tons of new development. So when you moved to St. Pete, did you get licensed right away?
No, I didn't. I was here for 2 years and then got licensed.
Gotcha.
So I'm an artist as well, so I got very involved with the Moraine Art Center and was doing...
St. Pete's known for its art, too.
Yeah, well, that's another reason I love it so much.
Yeah.
The painting, the glass, the clay, all of our museums, it just... And just the whole vibe of St. Pete, it's exceedingly diverse, very accepting of all kinds of people, which I love, having lived in, New York City for 7 years and traveling all over the world. I like how open-minded our city is. So anyway, I was really involved in the arts when I first got here with doing my classes and showing my paintings at the Moraine Art Center. And so then
did that help you at all? And when you did get licensed, is that how you got started? Was it through your network, through the arts or anything like that? Or tell me about your first year and how you started getting traction.
Yeah, that's actually really an interesting question because no is the answer to that. Maybe I should have had I now what I know, I would have absolutely kept in touch more with all the great people I met that were doing painting and everything with me in those classes. I ended up just falling into the greatest brokerage, I have to say. I love our office. I did start at a different office, and after 3 weeks, I realized that's not for me.
Yeah.
So I left them, and somebody that I had taken the class with had gone to Keller Williams downtown St. Pete.
A lot of great agents in that office.
Great agents. Yeah. Love our group. We have so many friends and such wonderful connections, and we all really help each other, which I love.
Yeah.
I've been at other offices, well, just that one where it was very competitive, and I've heard about other people saying that, they don't help each other and they're very secretive. We have the exact opposite.
Yeah, they have a culture of support for sure.
We do. We do. Culture of support, a culture of learning based, giving back. I have just such wonderful friends with our office. We love getting together, having, parties, going to do our KW Cares Red Day event is a big deal. And
we've done an article
successful.
on that before too, KW Cares.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
I feel like for all the offices that are in Tampa Bay, I don't know this to be completely true, but I believe we've featured more agents from your office than any other brokerage or office in the area, just based on there's a lot of top producers there, that do really well. And I think a lot of that is because of what you're talking about is the support. So, I mean, if you are somebody who's maybe even new, right, in real estate, I think it's pretty important to try to find some level of support in whatever organization that you're going to be in, because it really does make a difference, I think, in how quickly you can get off the ground and get some traction. Would you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. We had a mentor program when I started, and we have Ignite, which is as soon as you become a realtor, you have to jump into the Ignite classes, and it's weeks of classes where actually the agents come in and teach the class. I've taught the marketing class multiple times, and then we'll have agents that'll teach, how to find the buyer, how to present a listing, how to do open houses. So you're learning from the book, of course, everything that we're supposed to learn on how to jumpstart a new agent, but then from people that are actually in the business. And that's pretty thrilling, having people that are out there, successful, showing you the ropes. I don't know many other brokerages that actually do that, and we're teaching each other, and they can ask questions and help us with anything that we ask. Basically, when you're a new agent, it's really phenomenal. Yeah,
I remember having Rachel Tenpenny at one point on one of our calls and panels. Yeah, we've worked with Monica Crawford, Jack Smith. I know Leah's not there anymore, but Leah Herzworm and DJ Susie were both people we met through there. And it goes on and on. There's been others too that have been in that office. So it's really
Courtney
cool.
Stein.
Courtney. I love Courtney. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah, she's a dear friend.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's been a big part of your success. And so when you got started there, I know Keller Williams also has some pretty good lead gen programs, don't they, in terms of helping lead flow and that for newer agents, or did that not really play a role in how you got off the ground?
No, I didn't have any. You mean where they would give you leads?
Yeah, they do have those types of supports.
Well,
systems,
so they
don't
do have the where you can work the desk.
Yeah.
Right? You can work the front desk. When I started, they did have a street office. So you could get some walk-ins and then the phone calls and all that. I actually never have done that. Not once. I've never manned the desk. How I started is sort of, I don't know. I'm an exceedingly competitive, hardworking person, so I just sort of
you over the years.
Yeah, I think I just sort of jumped in head first, and my very first. So I started in September, and I got my very first listing by I think it was November. It was around Thanksgiving. It was actually October.
Okay.
Which was
you
really
didn't
fast.
Have a network here.
No, I was pretty new to the area.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing, which I think is hysterical when I look back at it, is I had one of those football schedules printed with the magnet on the back and my business card and all that. And I ended up ordering something like 500. And at one point I'm like, holy man, I have way too many. What am I going to do with these?
Yeah.
So at the time my husband was working at Best Buy in the Magnolia division where they sell the high-end sound systems and speakers and all that. And I said, oh, well, I'll go to Best Buy and just pass them out and give them to people.
Oh,
so
wow.
he ended up talking.
That's a new strategy that we haven't heard yet.
I was like, what the heck? I'll just go in and give it to the people that work there because I have too many and I need to get rid of them, you know? And this is after farming and giving them to my neighbors and all this. So he was talking to the cutest couple, this old couple. I just adore them. I'm still in touch with them to this day. And I handed them the football schedule, and they actually called me the very next day.
Wow.
And they said, you know, we'd like to sell our house and we'd like to interview 3 agents, and we want one of them to be a Keller Williams agent.
That's cool.
And this also gives, you know, credit to Keller Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, I respect our company immensely and won't ever be leaving Keller Williams. I'm a diehard. And I feel that anyway, I'm getting off track. But anyway, so they ended up interviewing me and talk about support. Jack Smith was already an agent there, and my mentor could not go with me to the listing appointment. So Jack said, oh, I'll go with you. He said, meet me at the office at 7 in the morning. I'm like, okay. So the appointment was at 9. So I met him at the office. He went over everything. He met me at the house at 9. We both sat there, and, you know, I was nervous as heck. And then they said, would you excuse us for a minute? We're like, yeah, sure. They go into the other room, and they come back and said, well, we'd like to sign up with you and list with you right now. We're not going to bother with the other agents.
Wow, that's
and that
awesome.
was my very first experience.
Very
and
cool.
you know, that just is a testament to the incredible support we have of each other.
Yep.
And
I love Jack too.
Oh,
he
God,
won our Real
I
Producer
love
of the
Jack.
Year award this year.
Yes,
at our banquet.
I know. I was there. I was one of the rising star females.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, in the top 5. But so he helped me get that. And the funniest thing was, as soon as they said that, they're like, okay. It was sort of like, my job is done. He got up and he left. I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? You know, I was so slow at filling out that listing agreement and didn't know what to do and all that, but I made it through it. And that was my very first listing. And I have to say, that led to everything else. That was incredible. It was a phenomenal house in Old Southeast. And while I was holding my open houses, I was basically, which everybody needs to keep in mind, you're always being interviewed.
Of course.
And you never know it, right? So I was at that open house, and people were coming through for a couple days. And one couple called me and said, hey, we met you at the open house. We'd like to sell our house. We would really like to interview you. I said, fantastic. Set up the appointment. Got the listing.
Nice.
While I was there, got a buyer. While I was there, the neighbor wanted to sell their house. They hired me to sell the house. I had the buyer. I sold their house with my buyer.
Wow.
All started right, like, bam.
All
I
organic,
started
right from the get-go.
all organic.
Yeah.
I started in September. All of that was, you know, like October was my first listing, and it just took off.
Yeah.
So,
do you remember what you did in your first year, your first full 12 months?
Yeah, my first year, I believe I did around $8 million.
Yeah, so I think we featured you as a rising star, I believe, right, in Real Producers, and that's...
Well, that was just last year. I mean, right? Wasn't that just earlier this year was the Rising Star Female Top 5?
Right, the awards banquet
that we
this
just
year.
had, yeah.
Right, you were nominated for that category by your peers. Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
by my peers. That's such an honor, you know? It really is huge. So being one of the top 5 out of... how many hundreds and hundreds of agents
well, there's
in
a
Pinellas
lot.
County?
15,000 that at least did a deal
agents.
last year. For
Sure. Oh,
so,
yeah, right? Oh, that's
but
interesting.
To
at
be in the
least
top
did a deal.
500, there's over 15,000 agents in Tampa Bay. That's all 3 counties, Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas.
And this was top 5 female rising star that was under 5 years and under in business.
Yeah, 5 years or under that were nominated for that category.
Yeah, so that was quite an honor. Thank you very much.
Of course, it was our pleasure.
Really enjoyed that.
Now we got to get you nominated for something else next year.
Yeah, well, you know, we'll see.
We will. We'll have another
know.
one in March. I think that event is one of our favorite events. So
it was phenomenal.
We'll try to keep doing that annually, I hope.
Oh, that was just a beautiful wonderful event. I
Yeah,
was
thank
very
you.
impressed, I have to say.
Thank
Now
you.
I'll know to dress up a little bit, more bling.
We might do a different venue this year, but we'll see. We'll see. I think the venue kind of worked, but we had a lot of people there for that venue, so
Yes.
it was a little tight, I felt like. But
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see if we might find
Yeah.
a couple options.
Super successful.
Going back to your story, so have you done anything different now over the years, Chris, in terms of like, do you have some specific strategies that are kind of part of your business plan? That's
Yeah.
how you've scaled, or is
Yeah.
it still just maintained kind of strictly organic type stuff?
No,
or
I have
what do you
actually,
love to do now?
Yeah, I've actually made huge changes this year.
Okay.
I will say one of the number one habits, I guess you could say, that I've formed and done consistently from the very beginning is farming my neighborhoods. So I have 3 neighborhoods that I farm consistently. And
Yeah.
when I say consistently, I mean every single month I'm sending out a postcard,
Yeah.
or I'm doing a door hanger, or I'm doing a giveaway. During COVID, because, we couldn't really see people, I made these wonderful little spray bottles with sanitizer in them,
Yeah.
had my name and everything on, put them in a bag with some other stuff, and hung them on everybody's house in my neighborhood. And, I know people that still have them because they're refillable, and they thanked me for it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, thinking outside of the box a little bit. That was good. But this year, I'm at the September 1st is going to be 5 years
Yep.
that I've been in the industry. I'm all about appreciation right now
Yeah.
with my customers, past, present, future, my sphere, giving back. Exceedingly grateful for what I have received and how wonderful all the people are that I work with. I love my relationships, not only with my customers, but with lenders and title companies and inspection companies. I feel like I have, my transaction coordinator. We've been together for years. I have this phenomenal team. So when you talk about somebody that has a team, okay, maybe they have a whole bunch of agents
Yeah.
working with them. I have an excellent team. I work with the same people for years now. We've worked together. I think once you find somebody that works well at the same professional high level that you do, you stick with each other.
And you're referring
right?
to like the support staff that's
Yes.
within KW? Yeah.
No, not necessarily. I mean, my transaction
Your transaction,
coordinator
yeah.
that I hire, the title company that I work with, the lenders
Yep.
that I work well with, the inspection companies that I work with. I have incredible vendor lists that I've built up over the years of fantastic roofers, electricians, plumbers, AC
Yeah,
guys,
that's
all
important.
that.
Huge.
That's part of it. But back to what I'm changing this year is giving back. So I've really started doing events quarterly to give back to my customers. So I did a super fun shuffleboard party at the St. Pete Shuffleboard
Nice.
Club. Very successful. Had a food truck with everybody got a free meal. I had an open bar. We had eight lanes that we could play. It was so much fun.
That's cool.
Had music. Then we did.
Did you do that with Courtney?
No, Courtney does
Okay.
her own.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I
she
know
has
she's-
such a different business than
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, she's my business is more my age sort of, and I sell a lot of waterfront.
Yeah.
So the majority of my sales are about $1 million on average,
Yep.
$1 million or more. If you mix, from the 2 point whatever down to 300, right, in sales, it sort of averages out to be about $1 million.
Yep.
Is my average sale. So. Anyway, so we did
Yeah, I
that.
think I saw
and
just last year alone, was it like 17 transactions or so last year?
for last year.
Just last year, like
yeah,
2022.
Yeah, the year before it was 27.
Yep.
So last year was a
And you were
weird year
averaging
for
about
me.
$1 million per
Oh,
unit,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, this year it's all about appreciation and giving back and having events and building the relationships. I'm not just about farming my neighborhood where I'm sending out postcards, right? I live in the neighborhood. I go to our parties. I hold parties. We
Yep.
have, boat club in our neighborhood. We sponsor it at our house once or twice a year. I'm out walking the dog, have tons of friends, see people all the time, out and about. We have customers come over we take them out on our boat for lunch or for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, I'm going to send out a postcard and I'm going to follow up on a phone call from meeting this person. It's about building that relationship in so many more ways.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
And
it's
taking
smart
it.
where you bring up, I think a lot of times people hear farming and they just think it's going to be easier than it really is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I feel like the important thing when you're going to do those strategies is consistency, right? And you've mentioned that you've been doing that now for years, and I'm assuming that you've gotten deals from it and you've been able to get traction
completely.
from that. But that's really how you distinguish yourself in an area. I view it as what I would call area management, right? Like knowing exactly what markets you want to serve. And then if that's truly your target audience, it's smart for any business owner to always be in front of them because you just never know when the timing's going to be right, you know? And it's when you're trying to play the timing game that I think it doesn't work. You don't get the traction from that, and people just end up thinking, well, this is never working. I got to quit that. I got to hop and do this strategy. And then they never commit to a specific strategy.
That's right.
And they end up, really missing out, I think, on what could have been.
I think they also are impatient. It does take
Very
time.
much so. Yeah.
I do remember in one of my neighborhoods, not the one I live in, but one that I was farming, I had sent postcards to that neighborhood for 2 years, and they also saw my open house signs. They saw my, me out and about putting the signs, picking them up, all this. So it's not just that they were getting postcards, but I remember thinking, I'm not going to continue with this neighborhood anymore.
Yeah.
And I happened to meet another KW agent up in Georgia, and I told her the story, and she had a team and all this, and she said, oh, no. Don't stop right now. Now's when you're going to get traction. Sure enough, that was in December. By January, I got a phone. I cannot believe this. Like, honestly, this happened. By January, I got a phone call from somebody in that neighborhood that said, hey, we'd like to interview for, listing our house. We get your postcards. I'm like, oh, great. Sure enough, I got the listing.
Yeah.
And, I will go into these people's homes, and they'll have my cards stacked up in their kitchen. They hold them, and they'll have other people's. But, I think...
when the timing is right.
Timing
is right.
They want
to know the option is there.
Seeing me out and about. I sell more homes in Causeway Isles than any other agent for the last 2 to 3 years. And I think they see that. Now I'm getting phone calls saying, hey, we know you're the top agent in the neighborhood and sell the most. We'd like to talk to you.
Yeah.
So that's consistency.
Yep.
That is not giving up. I mean, 2 years of sending out postcards and not getting anything is a little bit like, it's a little defeating,
For
but
sure.
you got to stick with it.
And the beautiful thing about, real estate in general is you can wait a little bit knowing that the margins are good enough that you can hopefully see that return, even if it takes 2
Yes.
years. What all it takes is 1 or 2 deals.
Well, that's right.
Yeah.
When your average is $1 million, that's
Right.
a nice commission, right? And listen, I'm not saying that's all I sell.
Right.
I got to say, one of the things I absolutely love about this industry, I am 100% a people person, and I love helping people. And I have helped a couple young gals and guys buy their very first home.
Nice.
One was like $110,000. I'm like, you sure you want to buy, And he's like, yeah. Anyway, bought it. A couple years later, he sells it, makes great money.
Yeah.
I've helped 2 single women buy their first time homes, first time home buyers. I mean, I sort of feel like a proud mom
Absolutely.
when I'm helping people like that.
I mean, you really are helping one of the biggest decisions of their life.
Yes.
So that's what you hear all the time when it's true
It
in real
is.
estate. I'm curious with the fact that you were already a business owner
Yeah.
before, and now you're really a business owner again, in a
Yes.
different industry.
Yes.
Do you miss the previous business? Do you really enjoy this even more? Like, how do you, when you think of that distinction between the 2 experiences, what comes to mind?
So it is interesting. Yes, I miss that business a lot. I have thought over the years that I could start it up again. But, that industry, when I got out of it, one of the reasons, really big reasons besides my children, was the whole American manufacturing was going overseas. The textile industry was failing. The Carolinas lost so many of their textile companies. I was a small time, like mom and pop sort of shop, and I couldn't be competitive with the overseas prices.
Yeah.
I sold silk peony duvet covers, and wholesale they would sell for $150 wholesale. and they were coming in from overseas being sold retail for 150. There's no way I could compete with that. Our labor was too high, and I was
so it was a totally different animal from that perspective.
Completely. So when I thought about maybe getting back into it, I loved designing and manufacturing, home decorative items. I loved the industry. I loved the traveling. But it just doesn't seem, for me, I just couldn't go back into that realm of the stress. And, not that real estate isn't stressful. It's exceedingly stressful.
It has its moments, I'm sure.
It sure does.
Do you think can you see yourself ever having another business, or is this the one that you could see yourself staying with for the rest of your professional career?
Yeah, no, I'm going to stay with real estate for sure. For the rest of my professional career, there's no question. I love what I do.
Some people are like serial entrepreneurs, right? And I have a little bit of that in me, to be honest. But there's this element of always thinking that there's another business out there for you, for some people.
I listen, at my age, I'm sort of ready to, I'm not slowing down in any sense of the word. I'm looking forward to, growing my company for sure. But, travel is important. My kids are off at college. My daughter just graduated last weekend.
Oh, congrats.
What's
college. Your daughter's name?
Melissa.
Melissa, shout out to you.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Roll Tide, baby.
Is she going to follow in your footsteps with real estate?
No. She's in hospitality management, and she just graduated from University of Alabama.
Very cool. Yeah. Roll Tide.
That's right. Roll Tide, baby.
Have you gone to a lot of the football games?
I've gone to a couple. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, and my son is going into his sophomore year at college. So we're sort of at that stage. He's at Santa Fe College. He wanted to get into UF, and that
Santa
was
Fe in New Mexico?
In Gainesville.
Oh, Gainesville. Okay.
Yeah, so super tough getting into UF. So he'll do the 2 years at Santa Fe and then transfer to UF.
Oh, so a little rivalry there in the family.
Yes.
Gators versus Roll Tide.
And my husband is Florida State. So.
Oh my goodness, it's a war every time
my
Saturdays roll around.
Bulldogs.
It's almost that season, huh?
Yeah.
Football's right around the corner again.
That's right.
So I was going to ask you about on the personal side, just to again give people more information about who you are if they don't know you. What do you guys love to do for fun? What keeps you busy? What's the Price family into?
Yeah, so I'd say number one is the boating. We live on the water. We absolutely love going out and beaching it and hanging with friends and rafting up. And our son is exceedingly into fishing. Nice. So, that's really, really fun having him go out. And lately I've been doing the bait fishing with him, which
nice.
I don't have a lot of patience. So I'm not going to sit on a boat.
For fishing.
Yeah, right. I'm not going to sit on a boat and wait.
Right. That's why I never really got into fishing either.
I just can't.
The patience thing, it just doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's peaceful, which I can understand.
Yes,
but
that's right.
I get bored.
Me too. So I have to say, you got to try bait fishing. It was so much
I have never done it,
fun. So he has a line, which is with these hooks called a sabiki, and it has maybe 10 little hooks on it. So you go where the fish are happening, like under a bridge or something, and you see them all fluttering in the water. You throw out the line, and you come in with 5 or 6 little fish. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that sounds different from what my experience has been.
Yeah,
anyway.
so for me, that's the best because that's 15, 20 minutes out there catching about 50 little fish.
That's pretty cool. That makes sense. I can probably jive with that.
I think
for sure.
you would enjoy it. Yeah, because it's a quick little out and have great success and then come back. So
there you go.
I think that's that. We also have a beach house down in Fort Myers Beach.
Nice.
So we've been quite challenged this last year because it was hit by the hurricane.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So, but we've had that for 19 years. So we love going down to our beach house with the family.
Did it take a lot of remodeling
friends.
to get it back to?
Oh, we got 9 feet of water. We had to gut the whole house. So, but we are so incredibly blessed that it wasn't St. Pete.
Yeah.
Because it would have been 1,000 times worse if it hit us
they
here.
do flood a lot down there in those downtown streets. Snell Isle. I used to run a magazine for Snell Isle, so I know that neighborhood fairly well, and they always get flooding in there.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
Well, luckily where I live, we don't flood.
That's good. That's good. You're on the same side or on the west side?
No. I'm on the west side over by Treasure Island, and our neighborhoods are, they were built up higher than most, and they've never flooded since they've been built.
Gotcha.
Causeway Isles and Yacht Club Estates. They're
not bad.
Phenomenal. Yeah. But anyway, so we just really enjoy the whole Florida lifestyle.
Yeah. Well, you're in the right place for it if you love the water. That's for sure.
Yeah. And we're so lucky with such beautiful.
Do you like to travel? You mentioned that earlier.
Huge traveler. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite place to go?
Yeah. Well, Je parle français, donc j'adore la France.
Okay, I've never been.
Yeah. I lived in France for 3 years after college. So,
Was that for work or just
no,
traveling?
really just for fun, and then
Yeah.
ended up being for work, which was so awesome. I loved what I did, and three different things while I lived there. But so we like traveling Europe.
Did you live
a
in
lot.
Bali too, or was that your mom?
Bali was my mom for
Yeah.
7 years, but I've been over there 5 times, and every time
heard
I
it's
would
gorgeous.
go, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I had to stay for at least 6 weeks because it was my time to design and produce new fabrics and new products.
Okay.
So it took a lot of time, and it's such a long trip. So yeah, the traveling thing, everybody in my family has the travel bug. We've taken them to Europe since they were babies.
Yeah.
Many
Well, I mean,
times.
that's one of the, again, nice things about real estate is it gives you that freedom to hopefully be able to do that. I know when you're,
Yeah.
for many people, unless they start building systems, it's hard for them to get away because their phone never stops ringing. But
I think having support like we do at Keller Williams, I have agents that I've worked with for all these years. We support each other. You
Yeah.
know, if somebody's going away, they'll say, "Hey, Chris, can you do an open house for me, or can you show my buyers, or help me with this?" Of course, and then they reciprocate.
Yep.
So I have really, really great agents that I work with at our office, and that's what gives me the freedom to go on trips. If I didn't have those relationships with these other fantastic agents, that would be really stressful.
Yeah.
So
we've interviewed some agents that are newer that are doing well, like volumes there, rising stars, but they're in that mode of still feeling the stress because it's just feeling like they're working 24/7. So trying to scale out those systems
Yeah.
is a process for many newer agents. Now you had experience in business before. I'm sure that also helped you in some ways in learning how to maybe, structure things properly. And like you just said, you have some people there at KW that can help. I got a couple rapid fire questions.
Yeah, sure.
For still on the personal side, and then I'm going to switch to one business question as well.
Sure.
But so do you have a favorite like book or author or even like a seminar maybe that has made a big impact on you?
We like reading our Gary Keller books.
Sure.
I mean,
Makes sense.
The $1
Keep
million
it in the family.
real estate agent.
Yeah, classic.
The Shift. Right. So those are books that are by my bedside, and with this past year, the Shift has been quite helpful. I have to say, but I love reading all different just kinds of books, but
Like fiction books,
right,
or?
yeah. Right now, I'd say my son has gotten me into this book called Dopamine Nation, and he's only 17, but it's sort of incredible what he's reading. That is all about our world today and how there's just too much indulgence.
Yeah.
And
that is
how,
true. Social media has just no one has any attention spans anymore.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I find that really fascinating because it's a doctor that's interviewing her patients, and they're at the extremes, right? Of course, from maybe drug addiction and how they recover, but our nation right now, everybody's so into instant satisfaction and the highs and the lows. I don't think this younger generation has a really good balance on happiness, and I think it's an interesting state we're in right now.
For sure.
With everybody trying to realize that you're not always going to have an extreme high of always being extremely happy.
Yeah.
And let's hope they're not going to extreme lows, that you have to realize that there's a balance here.
Yeah.
Every day.
I have read studies and seen things about I think social media has a lot to do with what you're describing.
Yes.
But the idea that the more like friends somebody has on Facebook or followers even on Instagram, there's like a psychological link to lack of happiness and I don't know if it's necessarily depression, but the idea of like you're less fulfilled the more of a social media following that you get, which is very
100%.
interesting because you would think it'd be the opposite that's the culture anyway, about a lot of people. So it's an interesting thought. And a lot of it, I think, is because of the selfie culture and, what do I need to do now to impress the next person? And, everything is really in many ways fake on social media regardless.
It's so sad, actually, when you really think about it.
It kind of breaks down the importance of just genuine relationships.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, anyway.
Do you have a favorite show, TV show, movie, something that has been entertaining for you?
Well, Yellowstone, I was obsessed with,
Okay.
and then that whole series that went
I've never
along
watched
with.
any of it, actually.
Oh, I just loved it.
But I've heard good things.
Yeah.
I'm watching Suits right now.
I'm watching Suits.
Are you really?
Oh my
It's
gosh,
very addictive.
Oh, it is. I was going to start with that, but yeah, Suits is really, really fun. Again, my son was watching Suits. I'm like, what are you watching? So he told me about that, and I'm
I love
in
how they always
season
find a
one
way out of the
still.
legal problem. It's like there's always a solution. There's something they can do. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only in season 1, episode 5, and I'm not one that just sits and binges and watches over and over again. But it is fun. I think.
Yeah, I'm up to season 5 already.
Oh, you are.
Yeah, there's
Wow.
9 seasons though. There's a lot.
Oh,
a lot
that's
of content.
A lot. See, I don't
it's
know
gonna
if
take
I'll
a while
be
to
able
get through all
make
9, but I've
make it
done
through.
5 seasons in
Whoa.
like probably 6 months. So.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's considered binging, but I've been watching a lot.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I do enjoy it, but anyway, you know what? I'm just not a huge TV person. I
Yeah.
like just recording my news
You're
in
out
the
on the
morning
boat all
and
the
news
time.
in the evening, and I work a lot. And then I love the arts. So recently, I started doing pottery classes
Nice.
with the wheel. So I just loved that this past spring. So I'm going to be signing up again in September for that. And
Very cool.
yeah, that's through the Maureen Arts Center, the Maureen Clay Center.
Yeah, again, St.
So-
Pete's got so many great things to
Yeah.
do, get involved with over there.
Yeah.
And it's cool just to hear, like, again, you're still, for all intents and purposes, a newer agent. You've
Yes.
been licensed 5 years.
Yeah.
Even though you got traction pretty quickly, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's obvious that you have a great lifestyle, I feel like. A very
Thank
good
you.
balance between your personal life, the fact that you get to enjoy the St. Pete area, the arts around you, and then obviously you still work hard and have built up a great business in a short period of time. So, like, I feel like for a lot of agents that are out there, especially if they are newer, or even if they're not newer, sometimes it's that, like, that whole word balance is something that people pursue. Depending on who you talk to, some people think it's a complete myth anyway, which I can kind of see in some points. And then, but I do think it's important for us to have like a well-roundedness to us, right?
Yeah.
In different ways. You seem to have that.
Well, I'm actually really happy you brought that up because that's been a huge problem for me. 2 years ago, I was working so much. I did 28 million as a single agent on
Yeah.
my own.
It's not easy.
And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't had a day off in 3 months. Literally, I remember 3 months I haven't had a day off. And I said, oh, there's a real problem here. And at that time, I realized I had to shift my work-life balance. And I've worked very, very, very hard at that this year specifically. I'm really competitive and with myself and other people. So when I saw that my sales were like not as good, I beat myself up and all this. But you have to realize that things happen in your life and you can't change those things. And you can't be mad at yourself because you're not doing as great as you did the year before. You're not doing as well as your, a friend that's an agent. I've tried to stop comparing myself to others. That is exceedingly important.
Yeah.
I don't think you should ever compare yourself with others.
That's
which
another key to fulfillment.
I
Rather
was.
Than, yeah.
Terrible. Social media is really bad for
Yes.
that.
It's kind of built on that.
It is. And then the whole balance thing. This year I've decided I'm not as worried about my numbers. I care more about my life and my time with my family and for myself. And yes, I'm successful and exceedingly a hard worker, and I am very dedicated to my customers. But there also has to be a time where you say, I'm not going to answer my phone at 8 o'clock at night when I'm out to dinner with my husband.
Yeah.
And I before would always answer the phone.
Right.
I do answer the phone and I do reply and I'll work till who knows what time,
Sure.
right? But there has to become a time where
You have some
you're
boundaries.
happy with your life
Yeah.
and balance. Yeah.
I mean, we can't take it with us, right? When
No,
we pass away. So
that's right.
The reality is you only live once, and that lifestyle, I think, is why we should be working, is to create the lifestyle we want.
Completely.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Keller Williams has this, Gary Keller has this motto, which I really love. He says, in December, when you're making your plan for the next year, start with your calendar and schedule your vacations.
Yeah,
He says that's the number one thing you should do is schedule your vacations.
no doubt. I've been doing that for years, and it's huge. I
It's
love
the
it.
way to go.
It's just something to look forward to,
that's
too, all the
right.
time. Yeah.
And you're working for things like that, right? You're not working for the sake of working, you
Right.
know? Yes, we all want the house or the things and we want to move forward with success in our lives. But if you don't take time for yourself and your family, what's the point?
No doubt. That's good wisdom. And
Yeah.
great advice for agents that are really in that hustle and bustle mindset right now. Again, there's a season for everything. So there's a time where that is expected, right? And
Yes.
fine and probably needed. And this is a business where you're not going to work 9 to 5. We all know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
But the reality is if you can't have a game plan that at least allows you to take your head up a little bit and start thinking like a CEO would, right, of
Yes.
your business,
Yes.
then something, like you said, is wrong. And at some point that has to happen, right, as far as your objective. So I have two more
question.
questions as we
Sure.
put a bow on it, but we've gone
Yeah.
over a lot of different things today so far. Hopefully you guys are joining on live. And one is, you mentioned, so you've been licensed 5 years now.
Yes.
And I'm curious, is like most exciting for you now when you think about the future, when the next year, even if we kind of view it short term, or if you prefer to say something even longer term, that's fine. But what gets you excited? What are you most excited about in the next months and years to come? What's the vision look like?
For me, I this year started coaching with, I hired a coach.
Cool.
And that has been really exciting because it's giving me a new insight on how I operate. And
Is this a real estate coach or just business
yes,
coach?
real estate
Okay.
coach. Well, he's a business coach, but for me, it's, you know,
Real estate
basically
focused.
real estate focused.
Yeah.
And he was a realtor and he was our mentor at KW.
Nice.
Actually, more than our mentor, he was our in charge of all of the new agents and the Ignite program, and phenomenal Michael Weedy. I love him to death.
Oh, I know Michael.
Michael Weedy.
I've been on his podcast.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
he's so great. So
Him and Rachel had one together there for a while.
yes,
the
they did.
Red and
The morning show.
Yeah, exactly. He's a great dude.
it was so great. So Michael is my coach.
Does he still live around here?
No, they're living in Colorado.
He did move, yeah. Okay.
Yep. So anyway, I'm taking my business to the next level again, like I said, about appreciation and giving back. And Michael has helped me master and figure out how to do events and what would be the best kinds of events to go, you know, to plan. So quarterly this year, I'm doing an event every quarter. I have a new one coming up in September that I'm excited about. And then next I'll be working on the Christmas. So I'm looking forward to improving on those events and giving back to my customers
Very
and
cool.
building relationships with my customers, because I'm a people person again, and I love being in this industry because of the people.
Yeah.
And they become my friends, and we stay in touch, and I'm looking forward to building that even more.
One of my favorite books, which I recommend to you or anyone else who's listening, is Never Lose a Customer Again. It's written by an author, Joey Coleman is his name, and it's very relevant for a real estate agent. So he's not an agent, but he wrote it for a business owner that has, you know, service-based customers. And I've used it for my businesses, and it's been great strategies, very practical tips that anybody can put to practice.
What's it called again?
Never Lose a Customer Again.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it's all
that's-
about customer retention, customer
Yeah.
engagement. It's about how much easier it is with strategy to keep an existing customer rather than always trying to find new ones, right?
Oh, yeah, completely.
Which makes sense, but a lot of people don't think of it that way. They're always in the hunt for the next deal, the next new person,
Yeah.
rather than putting strategies in place to continue building something special with the ones you have, right?
Oh, it's very important because they refer you to other people, and they
Totally.
you know, buy and sell themselves. They have children that are buying and selling and moving, and neighbors. So,
Yep.
you know, the referral side of my business has grown as well. And
So this book will go through strategies of how to utilize like 6 different ways to communicate with your client base, but to do it in strategic manners so that you have a game plan around it.
Yeah.
Because some people will respond more to gifts, other people respond more to phone calls, other people respond to texting, other people respond to
Yep.
just snail mail. Like there's different ways, right? That
Yeah.
if you have a strategy in place, you never know which one's gonna hit where you want it to land.
I definitely do all of those. I have to say, I do them all. You know,
Yeah,
we're all
it's smart
about
to have them all
handwriting, the
involved
note
somehow.
cards, no question. The newsletters have gotten huge for me this year.
Yeah, that's
I
big.
just have a deal right now where literally today where I'm selling her house and I'm helping her buy a house. Today's the last day of inspection, and we're through it all with both homes moving forward, luckily. But I met her 2 years ago at one of my open houses. She's in my database. She's been getting my emails and my calls and my newsletters. She reached out and said, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me." I'm sure I did, because they lived in Hawaii. How many people have lived in Hawaii? And anyway, you know, that's how follow-up works.
Absolutely.
It's in so many ways.
Yeah, and again, I think that's a huge, you know, you always hear fortune is in the follow-up, which is true, but you don't see a lot of people that I think really know how to take that and then put a game plan or a system in place that's actually going to be consistent, right?
Yeah,
in that way.
Just not just calling people.
No, it's more than that for sure. But do something if you're not doing anything, right? We're going to put a bow on it with this question. This is what so we just kind of talked a little bit about what you're most excited about for the future. Yeah. So what I would like you to do now is think about whenever your business time might be done, right? And you think about the legacy. So I want you to kind of put yourself in a mode where you're thinking back, right? And if you think about what's most important to you, Chris, with your legacy and what type of legacy that you would want to leave, what are some of the thoughts that come to mind that are most important to you that you'd want people to remember you by?
I think being trustworthy is probably one of the biggest. Being a great listener and very professional. I'm a little bit obsessive about making sure everything's done right and properly and exactly the way it's supposed to be. So I guess I would have to say that respected for my professionalism and friendly, easygoing person to work with.
Gotcha.
I'm always there for those folks. So I don't know. I guess that's sort of how I would like to be remembered, as genuine, trustworthy, professional realtor.
Sounds good. Well, those are all good qualities for sure. And I'm sure if you
you.
were to interview your clients right now, they'd probably already say that a lot of those things are true.
Thank you.
About you. I know I haven't known you that well yet personally, but in the time I've gotten to meet you, you've always been very bubbly and very friendly and have been a life of some of the parties that you've been at for sure. So it's been fun.
That's fun.
But if anyone wants to follow up with you, Chris, so sometimes we'll throw your contact information up there on the screen.
Great.
Whether they just want to pick your brain a little bit about one of the strategies that you might have mentioned. What's the best way to reach out to you?
Well, I would say my phone number is 954-895-0709, and my email is Chris, C-H-R-A-S, at cpricehomes.com.
Cool. We'll get that on the listing.
C as the letter C, yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, we'll get it up on the screen. It'll be on the post as well that we put out.
Facebook also, Chris Price Realtor they can find me on Facebook. And
cool.
So thank you.
Yeah, no, this was our pleasure. We always end every episode with a challenge for anyone who took the time to listen through the episode. I would encourage you to take one action step that you can take from our conversation today that would make the time that you invested worth it and help you move forward in a good direction. So maybe it's something you heard Chris say about her event program or her customer experience program that she's really excited about. Maybe it's just reading one of the books that were brought up that we recommended. Maybe you need to think about your next vacation and when you want to plan it. But there's a lot of stuff that we did get to and throughout there today. And even if you just apply one thing and put one thing to work, it would have made this time worth it. So take an action step. Don't let this time go by without doing something that's moving you in the right direction. And we will see you, of course, on the next episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers. We'll see you then.